welcome to the LeggLife podcast. My name is Adam.
My name is Sherry.
Sherry Beth, what episode is this?
80.
Episode 80. Every time we hit like a new grouping of 10, I'm so proud of us.
Woohoo! Let's fast go.
We're only 20 episodes away from episode 100.
That's true.
We should start thinking about how to celebrate.
Yeah.
In like 6 months when we hit there. So, well, you know what? Let's let future Adam and Sherry think about that.
We'll figure that out when we get there.
Because today we have a very important thing to talk about.
It is very important.
So we have had, you guys know if you've listened to podcasts, we've had very, very deep discussions about relationships and communication and like crisis of faith and trauma and very, very deep stuff.
This one really ranks up there.
This one also.
With important topics.
It's very serious. We're not messing around today.
No.
January is what, Sherry?
National Soup Month.
We don't mess around with our soups.
Soups,
soupy sales. And so we thought, you know what? We're going to do a soup episode.
Yep.
We're going to tell you our favorite soups. We're going to tell you soups that we don't like.
Yep.
We're going to try to figure out what in the poop makes like a soup and stew different.
Correct. Missy's going to come on later and talk about her favorite soups.
Missy's not going to come on later. Talk about her little soups.
Her little soups.
But I want to tell you where this podcast episode idea came from.
Yeah.
So I have a Marco Polo group chat with Bryson Rains, Chris Miller, and Justin Zachman. And Chris Miller earlier this week, or I think it was last week as you guys are listening, was going home to eat split pea soup that Carrie Miller made. Now, here's the thing. I have full confidence in Carrie Miller. I don't have full confidence in split pea soup ever being good.
Well.
And to me, I have a very, very strong opinion.
You do.
Split pea soup is what fills newborn babies' diapers. Like, it is split pea poop.
Split pea poop.
That's what it is.
Well, I mean, that's really what it looks like. It's hard to separate the look of something from the taste.
Yes.
I don't mind the taste of split pea soup.
I agree with you.
I have a hard time eating it because it looks disgusting.
If I could blindfold myself every time I ate split pea soup, maybe I'd eat it.
Correct.
So, Sherry, we're going to get into it, and we're going to have some strong opinions on things. I want to start...
Feel free to disagree. It's okay.
If they disagree with us?
Yeah. Or if we disagree with each other.
No, you'll be wrong. Very strong opinions.
Wow.
First of all, there are people who are soup people, and there are people who are not soup people.
Correct.
What do you think you are?
I am a soup person certain times of the year.
Okay, tell me about it.
From like fall and winter, all of the soups. Give me all of the soups.
Yes.
It is cozy, it's warm. I want to be inside under a blanket, and I want to eat my soup with a fire in the fireplace and a book.
It's why January is the perfect month for National Soup Month.
Yes, because it's just in the dead of winter.
If July was National Soup Month,
nobody would ever eat soup.
Who wants soup in July?
I never want soup in July.
No.
Because it's hot.
Yeah.
And I don't want hot in July.
Completely agree with you.
Right. Now, I will eat soup kind of all the time.
Okay.
But I prefer it, and I find myself craving it more when it's cold outside.
I feel like soup to me is cozy.
Yep.
It's just warm, like warm soup belly. It's so nice.
It really is.
So I'm the same. I also am a soup person.
Which is why we get along so well.
That's why. Literally. You guys.
The only reason.
There's only one reason Sherry and I even like each other.
Oh, it's because of soup.
It's because we both agree on soup.
All right.
So we're both soup people, love soup, both agree fall and winter, prime soup eating season.
Correct.
Summertime, not a big fan. And we're going to get into cold soups later, chilled soups.
Nope.
What our thought, we'll hold on. We'll talk about that a little bit later, Sherry. Give me your favorite soups.
Tomato soup.
Okay, let's expand a little bit on...
Specifically, Campbell's tomato soup.
All right,
Made with milk, not water.
Okay, we're just going to...
really clear.
You are jumping ahead of every question I had planned for this whole episode.
All right.
But we're just gonna dive into that then. Let's take the boxing gloves off immediately.
Okay.
Tomato soup. There are lots of ways to have. You could roast some vegetables on a baking sheet, like get them nice roasted with tomatoes, immersion blender, making a nice, very fresh tomato soup. Is that what you want when you think of tomato soup?
Absolutely not. I want to pop a can of Campbell's tomato soup. I want to pour it in a pan. I want to add an entire full can of milk to it.
Not water.
Not water.
Yep.
Milk.
Question.
And I want to whisk it until it's warm. And then I want to eat it.
So you want your tomato soup to taste a little bit tinny. You want it to taste a little bit like the can that it sat in for the last year.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
I have had like fresh tomato soup, and it just doesn't cut it. It just tastes like ground up vegetables. That's not what I want.
Yeah.
That's not what I want.
You want highly processed,
Yes.
maybe never even came in contact with a tomato kind of soup.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
I probably also, sorry, what's your question?
I was going to say, let's rewind the timeline. Let's say 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Sherry is in the dating pool, right? You're being courted by gentlemen.
Okay.
Guy invites you over for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls out a can of tomato soup to make dinner.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, great first step.
Absolutely.
He fills the can up with water.
I would throw it in the trash and leave. I wouldn't. I would probably suffer my way through it. It's just not good. It's just not good. And if you're making your soup with water, and I understand that's what it says to do on the pan or on the can, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't use gross water because then it's just watery.
Yeah.
It's just watered down soup. It's disgusting. I want the milk. I want it to be creamy and thick and yummy.
Oh God, it's so good. Okay, so we here, and I do want to say we are in full agreement on this.
Yeah.
Now, growing up, I was a tomato soup with a can of water kid because I didn't know differently. You have opened my eyes. The scales have fallen off, and I now understand why milk in tomato soup is better.
And I think the first time I made it that way, you were like, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean?
That's exactly what it was.
And you were like, the can says water. And I was like, yeah, it does. And it's trash. Like,
Yeah.
no, you don't make it with water.
Yes.
You make it with milk.
No, that's exactly what it was. Like, I was so confused as to what you were doing. And then I tried a bite and I was like, this is better in every way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely better. Okay, so
You're welcome.
Thank you. You've changed my life.
The only thing that I've brought that was good to your life was milk and tomato soup.
And that's not true. But here's what I want to say. If that was true, that's still enough reason to stick around.
All right.
That's still, if that was true,
Oh, you're my favorite.
still
I
enough
love
reason
you.
to stay.
All right.
So we have, I think, adequately covered tomato soup.
We just spent like 20 minutes on it. So
Well
it's fine.
done. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. No, I'm just kidding. The tomato soup episode. Is tomato soup your absolute favorite soup?
Yes, probably. Except I can't ever just eat tomato soup.
It has to be with something.
It has to be with a grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay, now you and I, this is where you are going to troll me a little bit, and I think you know where we're going with how I eat my tomato soup. Now, I'm with you. Tomato... Stop. Tomato soup by itself, and this is one of my problems with soup. Sometimes there is not enough substance to fill me up, and so I don't feel satisfied. Tomato soup, even when you add milk and it's creamier, like I've never in my whole life had a bowl of tomato soup and thought, boy, I'm stuffed. Like I'm satisfied. No, never. It's like a glass of water. And so you need something with it.
Well,
You
you
need
need a grilled cheese, but you
Yep.
destroy it.
Okay, so hold on. First of all, we're gonna get
And
into
you're
this.
wrong in this.
Okay.
And I just need people to know this.
Before we start this conversation, Sherry, I want to look at you in the eyes, and I just want you to know I love you, and I am committed to this marriage, and I'm committed to you. Okay? So let's just. I want to put that out there before we do this.
All right.
So, from my youngest memory, this isn't like Adam is an adult. This is as long as I can remember. In fact, I'm curious to know. I know my mom listens to the podcast. I'm curious to know if she remembers this. When I eat tomato soup, I don't put 1 little saltine crumbled up cracker, 2 little saltine crumbled up crackers, 5, nope, 10, nope, 20, starting to get close. For me, it is like half a sleeve of saltine crackers. In fact, when I go to a restaurant and they give them out in packs of 2, I'm like, could I get 10 more?
And you always get mine too.
And I get yours too. So I put so many crackers in my tomato soup.
Then you can't actually taste the soup. You have a little bit of soup with your crackers.
No, you can taste the soup.
And you know what my theory is on this?
Oh, here we go. What is your theory? Oh my God, it's because of the water.
It's because of the water. Because you didn't actually like the taste of the watered down tomato
my
soup
gosh.
until you would cover it with 87 crackers.
Salt and crackers and oh my my gosh.
But because and now you're just conditioned that you need to have solid cracker with a little bit of like tomato soup on it.
I put so many crackers in my tomato soup. The crackers absorb all of the soup, and it's like a tomato cracker mush, essentially.
Yes.
That's what it's like.
Yes.
And that's how I always, my whole life, remember doing it. I do have a question. Mm-hmm. Do you remember, by chance, the first time you saw me do that? Or do you remember, like, what your early thoughts were about, like, you know what? Maybe this isn't the guy for me. Like...
No, I've never thought that, but I do remember thinking, and I think I even said this. I was like, you can't even taste the soup.
Oh, no.
And I
you say that every every single time to this day.
What is the point of the soup? Just have a cracker and take a spoonful of my soup and just put it over your entire sleeve of crackers, because that's really all that's happening. Like,
oh gosh,
there's so much cracker that you cannot taste the soup.
I
want my tomato soup to be creamy and thick and yummy, but I also want it to be not so thick and nothing but cracker, that when I dip my grilled cheese in it, which is the proper way to eat a grilled cheese with tomato soup.
I agree.
That it absorbs into the bread.
For me,
yours just you have to spoon it onto your
exactly
sandwich.
What I do. I take, because there's no dipping, the consistency is so thick, so I take my spoon and I spoon it onto my grilled cheese and eat it. I remember, I love you. We're in this together.
I love you too.
Our marriage is great.
I mean, you're just very wrong in this.
I will say, I am very, very intrigued by your theory that I started doing that because of watery tomato soup.
And that's just what you're used to now.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's a game. I'm learning so much about myself
I know.
in this podcast.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now that we went back to tomato soup and talked for several more minutes, let's try to move on to other soups.
Okay.
So, give me other soups that you enjoy. What are some other favorites for you?
I love me a good broccoli cheese soup.
Oh, yes.
I love me a good beer cheese soup. I love me a good potato soup.
Like a potato corn chowder with some bacon in there, some cheese.
Yeah.
Whew.
And the thing is, I'm not real big on seafood chowder. I'm not a big chowder fan. I like corn chowder.
I don't
like seafood chowder.
But I think the reason is that you don't like the fishiness of seafood.
I don't, and I feel like usually in chowder they will use the castaway, not good pieces of fish that they would never actually just serve as an entree. And
so even with a clam chowder, a lot of times it has that kind of taste.
The low grade, fishy, gross fish in it, and I don't like it.
Yep. So those are some of your favorites.
Yes.
I would say I agree with you completely on a potato corn chowder. Agree with you completely on a broccoli cheese. Mm-hmm. That broccoli cheese may be my number 2.
Yeah.
But here's, as I kind of expand on my favorites, this is where I want to get into what is not clear to me. The difference between a soup, a stew, a chowder. What is a chili? Where does chili fall? Because chili for me would be... probably number 2. If we're including chilies are probably number 2 for me after tomato soup. I love a good chili.
Okay.
And so we actually went online and Googled, because we did not know the answer to this.
Correct.
What the heck is the difference between a soup and a stew?
Right. Yeah.
Where does it start becoming a stew, stop becoming a soup? And here's what it says. It says stews are generally thicker than soups. Mm-hmm. Duh. Being made up primarily of larger, solid chunks of ingredients.
Yes, less broth, more chunks.
Yep, so if there's more broth, less chunks, more broth, less chunks, soup.
So you turn your tomato soup into a cracker stew, is what you is what you do.
Okay, not when can we please, for all this holy, move past the tomato soup. Today's episode is sponsored by the Tomato Soup Association of America. Not really.
When you start to eat it correctly, then we will move past it.
Oh my gosh. In other words, stews are stews. You've derailed me. You've completely broken my brain. It says, generally speaking, if there is so much liquid that the ingredients are fully submerged, it's a soup. So, more broth, more liquid than the chunks, soup. More chunks, then it's a stew. Still don't know.
I think chili falls in the stew category.
I would agree with you. Based on this, I would agree with you.
Yep.
What is a chowder?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I have no clue either.
I don't know.
So I would say I'm going tomato soup. I'm going chili.
Yeah.
I'm going broccoli cheese. But then I really love like a pasta fagioli or like a minestrone, like some kind of
Yeah.
Italian noodle vegetable beef soup. And the look on your face tells me that you don't really agree.
I'm less on. So if it is broth based,
Yep.
I tend to not be a fan.
Interesting.
I'm not a big vegetable soup fan. I'm not a big like
You tend to be
I will.
a cream soup fan.
I tend to be a cream soup fan. So
With one exception, French onion soup.
French onion
Oh.
soup, I will eat all day, every day.
French onion is a very high ranking for
It
both
is
of
a
us.
very high ranking. Actually, you know what? I would probably put it equal to tomato soup
Wow.
with milk.
What? Can you imagine
No
how
crackers.
good it would be if you, I was just going to say, can you imagine how good it would be if you filled it with crackers?
Oh god. Well, I mean, French onion soup also already has like the bread and the cheese,
A giant cracker on top of
a
it.
giant cracker on
That's
top
true.
of it already.
That's why I like it.
Oh yeah, I do love me a good French onion soup,
Mm-hmm.
and that is broth based. But yeah, like vegetable soup, I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
Chicken noodle soup. Let's discuss.
Okay, so I actually enjoy a nice chicken noodle soup filled with veggies, delicious broth, nice big chunks of chicken, maybe some egg noodles in there. I'm a fan. You, and I've learned this about you a number of years ago, but I didn't know it for a while. You can't really do it.
Not really. There are different kind of chicken noodle soups around town that
Yes.
I like better than others. But for the most part, especially from a can, but chicken noodle soup in general makes me remember being sick.
That's what you'd always eat.
That's what we always had when we were sick with the flu, with a cold, with whatever. And so now I equate it to being sick. And so it is like, it's absolutely like a conditioned response, but it's like when I have it, I feel sick.
And
Regardless of whether I'm sick or not.
And I remember when you told me this about you, and I started to think back, and I was like, wait, I've never seen you, apart from being sick, eat chicken noodle soup. You would never order it somewhere.
And even when I am sick, I have a hard time wanting to order it or eat it because I'm so like, it makes
you feel worse.
It makes me feel worse. It just equates being sick
Yep.
with eating this soup.
So, do you remember growing up, I'm a little sidetrack, the Campbell's chicken noodle soup that had like the little, like the spaghetti noodles? Mm-hmm. You remember that? Like the little round noodles and like those tiny little dissolvable chunks of chicken?
Yes, dissolvable.
Well,
Yes.
they were like, I don't know what they were.
They were not chicken.
Hope and a prayer was the only thing holding that chicken together.
Absolutely.
Because it fell apart instantly.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now there is in town a restaurant called Taco King
This is where I was going to go next too.
that has, and they call it chicken soup, but it's kind of more of like a Mexican tortilla soup, sort of.
Ish.
I don't know. It's delicious. And that is what I crave when I'm not feeling well.
So when we are sick, we both are exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like onset of a cold, feeling terrible, nose is stuffed up, can't really breathe, can't
to
really
call
taste
Taco King.
anything. Time to call Taco King.
Mm-hmm.
Because that soup, the veggies, the fresh cilantro, the onions.
And that's the thing is like it comes in like a soup container with like chicken and some kind of noodly something and like potatoes and carrots and stuff like in this really good broth. But on the side is limes and cilantro and fresh tomatoes and tortilla chips and like all of this things, like all of this fresh ingredient stuff that you can add to your soup. And it's so good. It's so good. And it like that is always what I want when I'm sick.
You know what? One of the things that I'm disappointed in though
What?
is that I feel like that has become our go-to sick soup. To the point where I almost would feel weird ordering and wasn't sick.
Right.
But it's so good, it doesn't have to just be a sick soup.
Correct.
Oh.
Right. I know. Another go-to when I'm not feeling well because I just can't do the chicken noodle soup anymore is miso soup.
Yes.
I love miso soup kind of always.
I agree.
But I just really like it when I'm sick. And
Yeah.
I think partly because there's just no chunks in it. Like it's I mean there's sometimes tofu or something in it, but like it's just kind of brothy and creamy and warm.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Easy to eat.
Soups that you don't like Any that you would be like, oh, I'm avoiding that at all cost?
Spicy soups I don't really like because I don't like spicy.
Makes sense.
So if there's something spicy in it, I don't like it. I just won't eat it. Not really. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, like, of like I said, vegetable soup or that kind of stuff. I'm not a huge fan of chili.
Actually, that is a chili has been a hot topic in our household for our whole marriage.
Yeah.
Because I am a giant fan of chili. I love chili. But the problem is that it's, especially if you're making like a nice pot of homemade chili, you don't really make like one serving. You make a whole, like a whole Dutch oven of chili.
But then you're the only one eating it.
Yeah, because you don't like chili.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like I make chili as often as I want to for how much I love it.
Yeah.
Because you're just not a fan.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
But we will do Dutch ovens of like the potato soup or like the potato corn chowder or something like that.
I do love that.
Yep. Broccoli cheese soup. And I feel like we will usually get like not usually the cans, but like the bags of like the dried ingredients and add things to it.
Well, that's one of the things, and we actually did that. I don't know if you guys remember. We had friends who had a baby, and one of the things we made them was like a big pot of potato. It was like a potato cheddar soup, and we added like a can of fresh corn. We added a whole bunch of cheddar cheese.
Bacon.
We added, like some bacon bits, and just like add to a bagged soup. And it was so quick and so easy, and honestly, made it so good.
One of our favorite things to do, honestly, and we've done that for ourselves for a long time.
With a loaf of like fresh baked bread from the store. Holy cow.
It's just really yummy.
It is really yummy. All right, let's talk real quick about chilled soups, cold soups. Because to me, here's the thing. I don't mind them. I wish they wouldn't call them soup because it's like I can enjoy it. I can like it, but it's not a soup to me.
No, and I'm not a fan.
Okay.
In general of cold soup.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know that if I've had like a bad one, I just tend to like not want them. Like, I think I've probably in my life tried 3 because I'm just like, I don't.
And it's on a cruise or it's at a restaurant where it's like part of the menu.
It's part of the menu and it's part of like the appetizer or whatever. Like, you get this small cup of cold soup, and I'm just like, what is the point?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not a fan.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep, not a fan. So friends, there you go. It's National Soup Month, and most of this episode was about tomato soup.
You're welcome.
Which, when it comes to soup in our life, that really is the one. That and French onion. If there are 2 soup thrones in the Legg household, those are them. Here's the thing. We've actually never even tried to make homemade French onion soup.
We haven't, and it's actually not that difficult. We have looked and found recipes, and we're like, oh, this actually looks really simple, but we haven't done it. We have like the little ramekins. We have the things to make it, and we just never have.
That needs to be.
Like we need to make it happen.
That needs to be a 2023 goal of ours. We're going to try to make homemade French onion soup.
Yep.
And we are not going to try to make homemade tomato soup because, gosh darn it, we have a can opener and Campbell's soups.
And that's honestly the better way to go.
And milk. And a whole sleeve of saltine crackers.
No.
Come on, Sherry.
I am going to make you eat an entire bowl of not cracker.
Why would you do that?
Because I want good things for you.
And you say you love me. And you say you love me.
I want good things for you. And,
wow.
And this is something that you are missing out on because you are stuck in your ways.
All right, so here's what I want to know, everybody. I want you to go over to YouTube. I want you to find the LeggLife podcast. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new podcast, new video. And find this video. Find this soup video. Won't be hard to find. It's the only one we've done. And I want to know a couple things. First of all, favorite soup.
Yep.
What is it?
What is your favorite soup?
Is it some family recipe that is amazing? Or is it like bean with bacon? Oh, side note. Growing up, my dad loved bean and bacon soup. Mm-hmm. And we would always eat bean with bacon soup with bologna and cheese sandwiches. And to me, I would never, it'd be an abomination to eat a can of bean and bacon soup without a bologna and cheese sandwich.
Not a fan of bean and bacon soup.
All right, let's end this episode real quick. And so we want to know your favorite soup, but then we want to know crackers or no crackers in your soup. Or
there's only one right answer to this. And
hold on. Do you feel like any crackers? Like, what if I wanted to just put like a small, like 10 crackers in my soup? 2 crackers.
Why would you if you have your carb already in the form of a grilled cheese sandwich.
Because carbs are why I'm overweight. And this is the perfect example. This is the perfect example. Because
I just don't think that they're necessary in any realm.
Wow. Then you guys, I disagree completely. And so we need you to say why Adam's correct. So head over there.
Oh, dear God.
Crackers in your tomato soup or no crackers in tomato soup? And what is your favorite soup? Those are the two questions we have.
And have you made tomato soup with milk? And if you have not,
what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? And why are you holding back on good things for yourself?
All right, you guys. We love you so much. Thanks for listening, and we will see you on the next LeggLife podcast. Bye.